Welcome to Pic Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. Like to welcome you all to the show. Today we're talking about the Byron Allen case. And Byron Allen case, for those of you who aren't aware, is where he's suing Comcast, DirecTV, AT&T for discriminatory practices against a black-owned media company that he owns. We'll get into depth into the lawsuit, but I just wanted to break down a little bit of the act that he's using, which is the 1866 Civil Rights Act, that states that no black person shall be treated less than any white citizen of the United States, especially in dealing with contract law. And with that details is that it's opening up a can of worms, I should say, simply because we're going back and revisiting a law that was written in 1866.
Okay, what is the Civil Rights Act of 1866? Well, that is commonly known as the 1981 Act because it's under subsection 1981. Well, basically, it says that all persons have the same right to make and enforce contracts as enjoyed by any other citizen, particularly white citizens or Caucasian citizens. So it was an act that came about post-Civil War to remedy or right some of the past wrongs forced upon minorities in the United States or African Americans in the United States prior to the conflict. Okay, so basically what it says is the right to contract, that the individuals have the right to contract. That has been applied to the employment context to say that an individual working cannot be discriminated against. Now, it applies to really three scenarios: to hiring, to the creation of a work environment that's hostile for the individual, or in some way retaliatory or discriminatory firing of the individual. So it applies in those three circumstances. Now, it's like Title VII. Title VII as well offers a cause of action for individuals who are discriminated against on the basis of race. But the unique thing about the 1981 Act is it's a more streamlined act. It allows for an individual to bring a lawsuit without having to go through the EEOC procedures or administrative procedures first. And another huge benefit is, while damages under Title VII have limitations or are capped in certain situations, the 1981 Act allows for unlimited both compensatory and in some cases punitive damages against the individual who violates the act. So the 1981 Act is still applicable, even though Title VII covers it as well. It is still commonly employed in the employment discrimination based on race context.
Now, if he loses this case, then white people can say, well, you're right. 99%, 95%, 99.5% was the fact that I discriminated against you because you were black. But the other 1%, the other 0.5% is because I didn't like the shoes you wore and it turned me off, so that's why you didn't get it. So he has to make a solid case, which I believe he is because he's saying that only $3 million out of billions goes to black companies, media companies, to produce content for their shows. Now, why is this important? And why don't Comcast want to spend more money into black media? Well, it's simply because is that for over the years, if you notice, white people always wanted to control the narrative or control what was put out in the public regarding black people. We had to play the slave. We had to, when black women had to play the mammies, or either we were in jail, we were thief, or we did some shuck and jive role, or we were just overly sexual, or we just, cursed up a storm with any filth, foul language you can imagine. And that was the narrative that they wanted to go out into the public, because they make money out fear, and they were creating fear. So when white people look in the media, which we all know how powerful that media is. The media is very powerful. The media can set forth an image of a particular group and have the world believing that that image is true, although that image was created in someone's mind to shed a negative light on said subject, which is black people in general, which we're talking about. So now here you come, let's say back in the days when Bill Cosby wanted to buy CBS. No, it's not happening. Here you come today, Byron Allen. Look, man, and a lot of black people, look, we need more positive representation of black people in America. Why is that so hard? Well, because white folks had made so much money on negative stereotypes, and they had given black people a lot of money to create shows for negative stereotypes, because they want to keep that image out in the public. Now, Al Sharpton, what does Al Sharpton have to do with that? Apparently, and we'll get more into details in the show, but apparently Al Sharpton, they gave Al Sharpton and the NAACP, what was stated, money so that the discriminatory practices that Comcast was practicing against black people, they gave Al Sharpton and NAACP monies not to boycott and make a big stir up about the ill treatment that Comcast was doing to black people. And also states in a lawsuit that they will get into the millions, but also chicken dinners supposedly they also gave Al. So I don't know, man, but it's wild, just the thought of that. So look, sit back, enjoy the show. So I went out and visited a friend, black-owned film company titled A-Tone Production. Marcus Mudd, which you see sitting next to me, producer of Blade Remix, Cold Turkey, Hoodlum of the Opera, and so many more dynamic films that he produced and would like to share to the whole world. And there's a market for his type of films. So looking at the Byron Allen case, it made me sympathize with those of us who want to break into the film industry but have to go through so many obstacles and so many things just to even get our product in certain platforms. So I want to talk to Mr. Marcus Mudd so he can expound on some of the things and obstacles that he had to deal with in busting through that racial divide that Byron Allen is speaking on, so you can get a first-hand experience of someone who's going through this in real time and from the great state of Texas. Marcus Mudd, what's going on, bro?
Hey, bro.
You, man, glad to have you here. And first of all, I appreciate you helping me with my projects, Everyday People, the movie, my first experience in the film industry, but he's been doing it for 7 years, so he's a better person to interview on this subject. Can you tell us the difficulties in bringing your film to industries such as Comcast or these quote-unquote big-name companies?
Yes, sir. There are a lot of difficulties, a lot of them. And just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to speak on your program, bro.
Yes,
And helping and allowing me to help you get your projects off the ground also. And that's what it's going to take, bro. It's going to take for some united, like minds to get together and do what they have the passion to do and to do what can benefit them in life. Because right now it's set up just like everything else is set up. It's you know, it's set up for you to fail.
That's right. Now we as independent artists, we have to come with creative ways, and had to over the past. A lot of you all know a lot of musicians, rappers, even filmmakers would have to sell their product out of the trunk, do a chitlin circuit, would have to stand outside clubs, stand on the corner, do whatever they had to do to get their product out, and still doing some of those same methods today in 2019 with all this high technology. We still have to resort to old methods in order to get our creativity out to the public. Now, mind you, art, theater, music is a science. Art, theater, music, a science, and it helps cultivate society, because the image that you see sometimes, it helps create and shape the mindset of the people in the direction that society goes. Now, when someone sticks their hand in that and turn it to a negative connotation, to where, example, to where you always would have blacks play the mammy role or the butler or the slave role, and to keep going over that narrative that this is the extent of our talent or our contribution to this society. Brother Marcus, why do you feel that they keep shoving that narrative down our throats? And when you do have a black superhero, he bumbling and fumbling and bumbles up on the case, or he's still made in a joking like manner. Why do they keep presenting that narrative to the public?
It's population control, and images are the strongest influences. And you know, think about it. Instagram and the influencers on Instagram are some of the most powerful unknown people in the world, because they bring products and services to the forefront of society, social media, and internet. So, like you said, technology. If it wasn't for technology, I wouldn't be in film at all anyway, because they had already, Hollywood, quote unquote Hollywood, had already closed the market on films being seen on the big screen. And since the internet broke open and digital distribution, to be exact, came into play, it kind of opened up the playing field for individuals that wanted to come up into the field of filmmaking.
All right, but some of these platforms, you know, when they first came out, you know, you could monetize a little easier, or you can get your platform out there a little easier, your product. But now, you know, it seems like, and I could be wrong, y'all, and forgive me if I'm playing the race card, but man, throughout my life, you know, I've seen where a market was open, money was flowing, everything was fine, and as soon as black folks got in the market, all of a sudden rules started changing. You need a license to do this. You can't do it like this, and you know what I mean. And I remember some black people saying, "Look, when you get in this, don't tell a lot of black people. Tell a lot of people, because as soon as they find out we in it, they gonna shut it down or change the rules."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So now we going back to 1866 to make, which was reenacted in 1981 Act, but it's still an 1866 Act, to make sure that what was written and the reason why it was written will be upheld for citizens of this USA, citizens who built the White House, who fought in every wars, who meaning it, first of all, the congratulations that are at hand or to black Americans for the work that was done for this country, should every other race should stand up and give us a standing ovation. every minority race in particular, with the Civil Rights Acts that blacks fought, allow you to have some of the benefits that you are enjoying today. But it came on the sweat and the whip and the lashes of black folks' back, meaning our debate to fight for equal rights in this country wasn't sitting down at a table and we doing it diplomatically, as gentlemen. Nah, it was rough, it was brutal, it was physical, it was mentally challenging, it was psychologically challenging, but we had to fight through it, and here we are today. As Brother Jamal said, we fight through anything, and we still here. And out of all the things they tried to put on us, we still moving forward. True. And now we're reaching the cusp of going back and making sure they adhere to this 1866 law. And we'll show you a little bit of what that 1866 law is, and we'll get more into the Byron Allen case coming up next.
This is Byron Allen, and he's chairman and CEO of Entertainment Studios. You know him as a comedian. He was the youngest comic ever to appear on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and former host of NBC's Real People. Byron, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. My
pleasure. And you run quite a successful enterprise, and you are now suing Comcast for $20 billion. That's with a B. Because you say they're not interested, and there are many other companies along these lines, as you see it, that are not interested in dealing with black-owned companies such as yours, black programming. Rather, they just throw Al Sharpton, as you say, on the air and as a payoff to the black community, and they think everything's hunky-dory now.
That's absolutely correct. My company, I started from my dining room table 22 years ago. It's now one of the largest independent media companies in the world. We have over 30 television shows on the air and 7 24-hour HD networks. And we're not doing business with AT&T and DirecTV in a significant way. We also filed a $10 billion lawsuit against AT&T and DirecTV for $10 billion racial discrimination in contracting, as well as the $20 billion lawsuit against Comcast, Time Warner Cable, Al Sharpton, the NAACP, the Urban League, and Meredith Atwell Baker. In the case of Al Sharpton, it was a terrific article in the New York Post earlier this year talking about corporations that pay Al Sharpton not to be called racist, to give them racial cover. So it's very alarming when you see things such as AT&T. America needs to ask AT&T, why are you spending more money on Al Sharpton's lavish 60th birthday party than you spend in a terrific magazine, Ebony Magazine, which has been around 70 years and is read by 10 million African Americans each month? Why are you spending more money with Al Sharpton than you do with Stevie Wonder's radio station, Los Angeles, KJLH, or Byron Allen and his 30-plus television shows?
All right, well, let me ask you this. I'm no fan of Al Sharpton, and we got another segment after this, and we'll talk more about that, and we'll talk about the remark that we played leading into this segment. But let me ask you this. Are you looking for, do you believe that if it would benefit these companies, and I'm assuming you believe it would benefit these companies to do business with you, to do business with Ebony Magazine, to do business with Stevie Wonder's radio station, etc. Are you just saying they're cutting their nose to spite their face, all these companies, because they're racist?
I'm saying that, and I'm saying that it's easier to make a token donation to Al Sharpton and get cover. So when Comcast wanted to buy NBC Universal, they got Al Sharpton, the NAACP, and the Urban League to sign an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding. And the only thing that those people understood about signing it is that they would get a donation. They all got a donation before they signed it. That is a conflict in itself. And to even suggest that Al Sharpton speaks for me as a person of color, a black person, or even black people at all, that is racist in itself.
No, I
Just
understand
like
all that.
there's no white person that speaks for all people.
After all these years, the Reverend Al Sharpton admits he was an FBI informant.
Yes, he says that he was the cat that got the rats, but others say that Sharpton's secret life was not by choice. CBS 2 political reporter Marcia Kramer has the story.
Michelle Obama probably never knew that one of the guests at her recent White House 50th birthday party was an FBI mafia informant who helped bring down members of the Genovese crime family. Reverend Al Sharpton, now a confidant of both the First Lady and the President and of Mayor Bill de Blasio, has his own unique take on his days as the government's confidential informant number 7.
In my own mind, I was not an informant. I was cooperating with investigations.
The revelations threaten to embarrass Sharpton as he kicks off his National Action Network convention this week with de Blasio and President Obama the headliners. But de Blasio, who calls Sharpton family, is sticking by his buddy.
Doesn't change the relationship one bit. I'm very proud to be his friend. I think he has done a lot of good for the city of New York and for this country. I have the exact same positive view of him I had before.
Sharpton has been dogged for years by reports that he was an FBI informant, helping the government go after boxing promoter Don King and music executives. Now we learn he also went after mobsters, including the legendary Vincent the Chin Gigante, the so-called Oddfather who paraded around in his bathrobe and pajamas. Though he has ducked and dodged questions about whether he wore a wire for the feds, that wasn't possible today since a batch of government documents were made public.
The conversations were recorded.
And there's also the issue of how he became an informant. Some say he was pressured into it after he was caught in a drug sting. This HBO undercover sting video that aired in 2002 shows Sharpton with a cowboy hat pulled down over his bouffant hairdo. Sharpton appears to nod when an agent offers him a cut from future drug sales. But now Sharpton claims he went to the feds for protection from threats from mob-connected music executives and was asked to rat out the bad guys.
They were threatening to kill me.
And while the feds say his information helped bring down guys like Gigante, Sharpton says he didn't know how his information was being used.
I have never met any of these guys.
Now, this is something that I had written out dealing with this case, right? And the fact is, whites want to control the narrative of how black people are perceived in the public's eye. Now, why do you believe that, Mr. Mudd? Why do they want to control our narrative or the way we perceive in the eye of white people? Is it, I remember Jerry, what's his, used to be the agent or managing NWA, Jerry Heller. He said, man, yo, you know, he basically was saying, scare white folk. You know, it'll make money. He was telling NWA that image and, you know, the black, you coming out with the guns and so on and so. He said, yeah, that's scary. That scares white folks. But we didn't understand that they were building a whole economic base on white fear of blacks. You know, so what's the purpose of, and this is something that I truly believe that since the birth of the nation, where they painted blackface and they had black people like the guy was going to rape the white woman, and then that image stuck in their head, even though with a white man in a black face, but they was creating that narrative of to fear the black man, that he was coming after that white woman and he wanted to attack and harm the white man, and they was making money off that image. Do you believe that they're still carrying that on even today in 2019?
President of the United States.
Yeah, well, hands down. Okay, there you go.
Monetizing xenophobia. Yeah, of course, there's a market there, supply and demand.
Right.
There's a demand for it, supply, you get rich. Don't matter if you're racist or not.
So if Byron Allen wins this case and more black media that can control the mindset or control the narrative of the image that is put out through the media, would be a game changer. Because now you're taking away that narrative. Now you're taking away that phobia. Because now you starting to address It's the opposite. Now you starting to address black folks in a positive light, but they want to continue to dress it in negative so they can keep making money off that image. And you know, do you think that they will allow that to be?
No, I don't think it's even about the type of material and the concepts that people come with as producers and directors and writers and things like that. It's just about making sure that they have the upper hand on the playing field, period.
Okay.
And of course, to control the narrative. Whenever there's a biopic or something like that needs to be done on one of our heroes, they want to tell the story.
They want to tell the story.
Understand? So, yeah, they're going to do some positive stuff as long as the positivity benefit them as the rulers. I mean, it's just white supremacy, man. You know, one person's skin color is supreme over another person's skin color. If you really want to get down to the sickness of it all, I mean, I don't know what skin color does except allow you to identify something about the person's heritage. But
well, I think that I think personally that the children, they're children. Young whites have been told, well, white people have been told all their lives that you are better than black people. I mean, or you better be better. Don't let this black person pass you. And they put that weight and on themselves without realizing it's crushing you, because if a person sit down and study longer, work harder, then they'll outdo you. They'll outsmart you. And some whites can't take that.
Well, that's the whole purpose of shutting down 1866, so that they can not even let the door open for you to come in and compete.
Right. And now the dangers of that is they could say, well, I didn't discriminate. I discriminated. 99% was the fact that you were black.
Yeah.
But that other 1%, I just didn't like the suit you had on.
Exactly.
And and that's the danger of this case that a lot of people are not realizing, because if that comes into play, then discrimination will be back in full force, because as you saw, the 1866 Civil Rights Act was based upon you couldn't be treated no less than a white citizen, and they still had to use the white citizen as the litmus test, as a catalyst on how a human being should be treated.
Right. Well, as humans, I'm not understanding. I'm slightly disgusted in the fact that we even have to have a 1866 law put into place to make people be fair.
Right.
And on the other end of it, why should we rely on something like 1866 law and we don't just unite and be a united community and take care of our own business regardless of a law and regardless of a discrimination? We should just be able to take care of our business.
We should be able to take care of our business, and that is a great question, because now we brings up Al Sharpton and the NAACP. Now, Al Sharpton, as you heard earlier, also stated in a lawsuit that he took monies from Comcast because they knew Comcast was practicing racial discrimination, but Comcast was paying Al Sharpton, allegedly, was paying Al Sharpton not to bring that to the light and boycott that, and in return, Al Sharpton would keep his show on MSNBC, and also he would receive chicken dinners. Chicken dinners. I mean, that's also in the lawsuit. I'm like, wait a minute. And also, the NAACP now is trying to backtrack and say, hey, we support Byron Allen for it to keep it standing within the black community. But Byron Allen stated that it's even racist to say that Al Sharpton speak for all black people. Do you agree with that?
Al Sharpton does not speak for all black people.
I agree. Fact, does not.
In the case of AT&T and DirecTV, combined, these two companies spent approximately $22 billion a year licensing cable networks and advertising, with less than $3 million per year going to 100% black-owned media. In the case of Comcast and Time Warner Cable, these two companies combined spent approximately $25 billion per year licensing cable networks and advertising, with less than $3 million per year going to 100% African American owned media. Now, these companies will throw words like minority and diversity out at you, but let's be clear about the definition of diversity. That is women, and quite often white women. So once again, African Americans are at the back of the bus and are not truly participating in the economic landscape of America. So all you have to do is say, where is the money? And what you'll see is that we're not participating in the $50 billion a year that cable networks pay. Now, there were 5 African American gentlemen who formed the Black Family Channel. One of them being Marlon Jackson of the Jackson 5, Michael Jackson's brother, heavyweight champion, former heavyweight champion, Evander Holyfield, baseball legend Cecil Fielder, Alvin James, and class action lawsuit attorney Willie Gary. These 5 gentlemen put together millions of dollars and launched the Black Family Channel. When they went to Comcast to get licensing, to get sub fees from them, where they pay billions of dollars for programming to acquire networks, Comcast did not give them money. In fact, at that point, they probably had a $10 billion budget. Instead, they said, if you want the Black Family Channel on Black entrepreneurs, you need to pay us $10 million. And they did, and it crushed them. And it ended up getting sold to someone called Leo Hendry. And now the question in this lawsuit is, Comcast, did you ask that white businessman to pay you $10 million to support the Black family?
We're getting screwed, man. It don't make any. The numbers don't even add up, But I go back to Bill Cosby trying to buy CBS and all the hell he went through and all the conspiracies that were surrounding that with his son. And it's like, wow, man, how powerful. As a film director, Brother Marcus, how powerful is that camera and that media?
That camera is so powerful that everybody got one in their pocket, but you pull yours out and aim it at somebody and they'll act different than if they hold it up their own camera in front of their own face.
That's right.
And don't add no media to it and let them think that it's going to go and be broadcast and go viral. World star. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yeah. Facts. That's a fact, man. That camera, that cam, that black, that raw guard. That camera, that chemistry. Definitely, it's a powerful tool. Some people don't know how to distinguish reality from fantasy, and they intertwine the two. You hear And anyway, and I just want to ask this question too, though. And then we'll move on to the Byron Allen case, but it's kind of off topic, though. I always had this question: why do some people get typecast? Like they play a role, and they can't, and the public just see them as that, and they'll walk up to the street, say, "I ain't like what you did." It's like, when I'm acting. You know what I mean? This is not real, but some folks get jumped on, and I ain't like how you did so and so, even in Power. I don't like the way Dre did this and that. Whenever I catch Dre out on the street, it's like, dude, he playing the part. But how do you get typecast in that character, and that's the only role you can play, and nobody can see you playing a different role?
Because nobody saw you play a different role. They only saw JJ say Dynamite, so that's all we think. All Jimmy Walker is about.
That's all he can do.
You know what I'm saying? And the man ain't gonna cast you in too many different roles just because of that. There's a demand there, so he's interested in supplying that demand. So we're not gonna hire you to play a doctor. We're gonna keep you where we started you at. Yeah. So all that work together.
They hamstrung you. You. This is the furthest of the extent that you can go is you in this box, and we're gonna put you on the shelf once it plays out. And so could you say that's the reason why a lot of actors start losing money, and they're not getting roles, and people only see them in one role, and as time go by, They outdated.
And I put another point to that. If that actor doesn't have the mind frame just to start making his own films, if you're an actor, you're a filmmaker, just do that.
Come on.
Why do you have to wait on such and such to cast you in his film, in his movie? And why has it to be on a certain platform? If you are what you are, then do it. And then people will see you in different roles. You do enough of it, then they'll see you in different roles and get used to, hey, he's got another side to him. I enjoy what he did in this, and I enjoy what he did in that. But hey, we all got this job mentality.
Right.
That if the money ain't a check that's wrote from such and such manufacturing company, then the check ain't good.
That's right.
Even if I write the check for myself.
That's right.
My own money ain't better than the money that somebody else give me if I punch this clock.
That's right. That's right.
It's a job mentality. So just do what you feel that's in your heart and your heart to do, and what you have a passion for, what the God gave you the talent to do, and everything work itself out.
That's right. That's right. That's words of wisdom from a producer, filmmaker, director, artist. Take that and strive with it, especially young people that's getting ready to enter into, that's in college, getting ready to enter into the film world. Perseverance, create your own reality, and build your own show. Multitask. But do you multitask?
All the time, brother. From the beginning to the end, I have to. It's a must. It's a must.
Must. Gotta do it.
No way around it.
You can't sit around and wait for somebody to do it for you. Do it for yourself.
Gotta do it. It won't get done unless you do it. If you find somebody to do it, he might decide not to do it one day. Then what you gonna do?
Yeah, you stuck.
Gotta do it.
Gotta do it. Now, the basis, as we conclude, was really about Byron Allen, but it was really the subtopic would be the 1866 Civil Rights Act. That is so important because he cannot lose this case. It's so much intertwined in that. The fact that we even held white people up, as I stated, as the catalyst on how to be treated. And so what if they say, well, hell, we're going to start treating white folks bad, then that means we're going to get right to treat you bad. If y'all using that as a measuring stick. You know what I mean? It's just, it's so much into that to where this case would have to be studied and restudied and studied and restudied again in order to get it right. It's just like every so many years they have to vote on the protection of the right for blacks to vote, when it should just be etched in stone.
It should be a natural, behavior that you wouldn't have to write a law for, and then you damn sure don't have to keep going back and saying, well, should we still be fair?
Should we still? What I mean, what's going on? And and the reason why it's so sad till it makes you laugh, because in the back of my mind I think of the youth that's not even born yet. They got to come into this society, into this world, man. And then they got to fight their way from time of their birth, man. You got to fight your way all the way till you're an old man or old woman, man. And that monster of racism is always lurking at your heels in this society. It's sad, man.
From the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, and then you wake up again, and you still here. It's like a never-ending nightmare. But hey, it's like a dog sitting on the porch. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The master keep kicking that damn dog, and he's just gonna sit there and whine.
Yeah. Goddamn, I'm tired of you kicking me. I'm gonna kick me.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm a dog. Yeah.
Now, and then I'm gonna tell you, in another way, somebody old school told me a long time ago, a dog sitting on I hate to use that analogy of a dog, but damn.
Right.
Dog sitting on the porch, whining, crying. Of course, dogs can't talk, but the man, like, man, what are you whining for? And the dog, like, I'm laying on a nail. Get up off the nail.
Yeah, get up off the nail.
You know what I'm saying? Now, right out of slavery, chattel slavery, nothing was given to us. We never got 40 acres and a mule. Matter of fact, they went to work trying to pass laws and make sure that everything we did went straight back to the one who gave us the sharecropper, the job, okay?
Right.
We managed to build 60 towns, 100% black, independent, very wealthy cities and towns. If you ever heard of Black Wall Street, that's what I'm referring to.
Right.
Before the massacres and you know the night riders and the evil men came and bombed these places. That happened before integration. Is that the right word? Integration?
Yeah, integration.
Yeah, that happened before integration.
That's
Man.
before integration.
See, we busy fighting. Please give us a chance. Please help us. Please give us fair treatment.
Right.
If we put that same sort of energy into picking our brother up and allowing our brothers to see the talent that we have and the gifts and the skills that we can help him with, and we find what's good from him, and then we circulate this dollar. Hey, you know, then people will respect us and then give us a seat at the table.
Definitely.
We ain't got to whine and beg and plead. Hey, man, leave the law there.
Yeah.
You know, we make our own laws. People come from overseas and immigrate, and you don't see them standing in line to vote.
No.
They just build a whole city inside of the whole.
Right on, that's right, man. Right on side of yours and build it up.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't, Asians do it. They don't even deal with you.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you mentioned integration. You know, because I looked into that, and I was noticing, like, you know, back in the 60s when Malcolm X was like, I'm not an integrationist. And I'm thinking, I'm not, the Nation of Islam, the Army of Muhammad, I'm not an integrationist. And I was watching something the other day, right? It's a show called The Exorcist, right? Come on, Fox. And the guy said, you know, once you integrate with the devil, you can't come back, and there's no use of saving you. You basically through. That's what he said. He said when you integrate with the devil, you through. There's no saving you from integration. And I said, well, I wonder, is that the reason why Malcolm and the Army Elijah Muhammad and the Army Mr. Louis Farrakhan was telling us, was first they said they called him the devil. Then they said, do not integrate with the devil. Don't do it. And they fought integration and got ridiculed, got dogged out. And I'm thinking, is that why you got liquor stores, churches on every corner, and why we can't unite is because a large population of us integrated with the devil. And in that movie, The Exorcist, and I'm going to see if we can get a clip on that for you all. In that series, The Exorcist, it stated when you integrate with the devil, you can't come back. That's
yeah. That's the dynamic of resurrection. Lazarus was raised from the dead, and ain't no coming back from death. But you know, by metaphor, the God raised a dead man.
Right.
And that's what's happening now. These, you know, we can all agree that these are the end of times. Wildfires and snowstorms and come on, whatever you can think of as far as a plague happening is going down right now. This is it.
Yeah, I think that the God hearing us complain so much, and he doesn't get. We got birds and beautiful skies and nature and weather, and we fought with each other and complained so much till he just tired of hearing it. Y'all, you can't even enjoy what I gave you, then you don't even need to have it then.
Yeah, but you can't enjoy it if you're not having access to it. If you can only look at it, you can just see it, but you don't have access to it. It's want in the midst of plenty.
Right.
And that's hell.
That's hell. Oh, man, that's hell, bro. Yeah. We got to figure this thing out, but glad you all stayed and tuned in to this program. You know, we're going to bring you more exciting programs. And as I always say, that those who listen to Verbal Pic Radio, Everyday People, the movie, or the Enlightened Ones. We give you information and knowledge just in a different way, but it helps build you up, and that's really the goal. And you are and will be the smartest people on the planet. Man, I thank you, Marcus Mudd, for being on the show, bro.
Brother.
Yeah, 8-Tone Productions. Matter of fact, before we close it out, we're gonna give you all a ski taste of what 8-Tone Productions has going on, and check them out.
You don't trust people much. You trust me?
Pero,